هو حل أهل مكة. هذا مكان أهل مكة للعمرة، يخرجوا من مكة إلى هذا المكان الذي هو داخل مكة لكن خارج الحرم، مسجد عائشة، ومنهم من يقول مسجد تنعيم. تفضل.
Initials KA from Manchester, UK. I ask Allah
How's it, Lutfi? Good? To your health.
Initials KA from Manchester, UK. I ask Allah to preserve you, Sheikh. For those who say near touching the woman folk break the wudu, what do they do during tawaf?
طيب. Pass the mic, please. جزاك الله خيرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My beloved brothers and dear sisters, disciples and disciples, locally and worldwide. Peace and blessings. And inshallah ta'ala, hopefully this evening is one which is blessed. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the good in which He has decreed for this evening, and protect you from the evil which He has allowed to take place during this evening. Ameen. Before we get started with the first question, is a book here, and there's nothing we have against, but we normally try to get the people to be connected to the scholars of the past and their books and their works. And there's so many different books and so little time. If push comes to shove, then we put them first. But tonight I'm going to share with you a book which is a modern day book, a book of a modern day scholar, which is an excellent book. And not too many people know about the book. The book is called Mawsu'atul Manahi Shar'iyya fi Sahih Sunnah Nabawiyya. It says Mawsu'atul Manahi Ash-Shar'iyya. Mawsu'a, which is basically meaning an encyclopedia. It's an encyclopedia of Al-Manahi Ash-Shar'iyya. Prohibited things. Prohibited things. Whether they are disliked, makruh, or totally haram, or from the kaba'ir, major sins, or from the muhlikat, destructive sins, on the greatest of the kaba'ir. Al-Muhim manhi, a prohibition. So this is an encyclopedia of prohibited acts, prohibited statements, prohibited thoughts, statements, actions, whatever. Fi Sahih Sunnah Nabawiyya, according to the authentic prophetic sunnah. You see once more what? It rhymes. I would understand it's the importance of rhymes to the ulama of Islam, of past and of present. Mawsu'atu al-Manahi Shar'iyya fi Sahih Sunnati An-Nabawiyya. In this book here, it says Murattabatun ala al-Abwab al-Fiqhiyya, and it rhymes once more. And it is organized and arranged according to the chapters of fiqh, meaning starting off with Kitab al-Ilm, Kitab al-Iman, Kitab Kada, Kitab Salah, Kitab Tahara, Kitab Kada, Kitab Hajj, Zakat, etc. Like a sunan, like a sunan. In this book it says here, Ta'lif Abi Usama Salim ibn Eid al-Hilali. The book is written by Sheikh Salim al-Hilali, who may be known to some of you, and to many brothers and sisters may not know the Sheikh. I've never met him personally in my lifetime, but he's visited the UK several times, and he's visited the United States several times. And it's a very long story with regards to the author and other scholars who came from Jordan. We don't have the time to get into that right now. what it was, what it is, what it's going to be. Mid 90s, early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Some of the brothers that have been around for a while. The whole QSS movement, all of that stuff. Alright? Al-Muhim, this is the author of the book, Sheikh Salim al-Hilali, who's known from Jordan. And the book is approximately 4 volumes. I purchased this book when I was in Yemen. It's printed by Dar ibn Affan here in Amman, Jordan. And it is an excellent book. It's an excellent book. Not a good book, but an excellent book. The author, he starts off his book with his introduction. And then he talks about, he says, Masailu usuliyah. Certain issues and principles of usul al-fiqh. A tremendously beneficial introduction about when is something proven to be haram. How do we know it's haram? How do we know something is from the major sins? What does the usage of the term Allah's anger, Allah's ghadab, Allah's wrath, Allah will not look at, Allah has turned away? What do these things prove? The fire. Then he says, Kitab al-Tawheed wal-Iman. The chapter of prohibited acts concerning one's Iman and one's Tawheed. Then after that is Kitab al-Ilm, the book of knowledge, Kitab al-Wudu, Kitab al-Ghusl, Mawaqit al-Salah, al-Adhan, al-Masajid, Salat al-Jama'ah, etc. And a quick section out of the book, to show you why the book is so good. It starts off, it says, Bab al-Nahi an al-Imlali was-Sa'amati fil Maw'idha. He says, the chapter, which is number 34, the prohibition of boring people and overburdening people and running people into the ground and dragging them out concerning the ilm. Students of knowledge that are hardcore, that's a different story. You teach them, you train them, you give them everything. The layman, it's a different story. Beginner students is a what? Different story. People only want a certain amount, a certain piece. You don't overburden them. And you don't bore them and burn them out. As we've seen many people what? Become burnt out. Speaking about the Sheikh and speaking about America and Canada and UK and this and that, we've seen many people that became what? Totally burnt out. And they don't want to practice anything. Sunnah, Salafiyah, nothing. Because they went too far. They burnt them out. They overburdened them. So he says, عن أبي وائل قال كان عبد الله يذكر الناس في كل يوم خميس. Narrated Abu Wa'il, Shaqiq ibn Salama al-Muradi. He's from the Tabi'een. And some may even say that he's from the Mukhadrameen, from those who were Muslim during the time of the Prophet ﷺ but never met the Prophet ﷺ. And some of them said that he died on the outskirts of Medina. He was about before the Prophet died, meaning he was almost this close to being a what? A Sahabi. He narrated from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He says that Abdullah used to remind the people every Thursday. He used to give the people a reminder every Thursday. فَقَالَ لَهُ رَجُلٌ, a man said, يَا أَبَا عَبْدُ الرَّحْمَنِ لَوْ وَدِدْتُ أَنَّكَ ذَكَّرْتَنَا كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. He says, oh, please give us a reminder each and every day. We want more. قَالَ أَمَا إِنَّهُ يَمْنَعُنِي مِنْ ذَلِكَ أَنِّي أَكْرَهُ أَنْ أُمِلَّكُمْ. He says, the only thing that stops me from giving you more is that I'm afraid of boring you. I'm afraid of overburdening you. I'm afraid from burning you out. He says, وَإِنِّي أَتَخَوَّلُكُمْ كَمَا كَانَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ يَتَخَوَّلُونَ. And I give you a reminder from time to time, occasionally, periodically, just like the Prophet ﷺ used to do us, the Sahaba. بِهَا مَخَافَةَ السَّآمَةِ عَلَيْنَا. Out of fear that he would turn us away and run us into the ground and bore us out. He says in the footnotes, أخرجه البخاري ومسلم. It's collected by Imam Bukhari and Muslim. And then he mentions another narration here. عن إكرمة عن عبد الله بن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال حدث الناس كل جمعة مرة فإن بيت فمرتين فإن أكثرت فثلاث مرات ولا تمل الناس هذا القرآن ولا ألفينك تأتي القوم وهم في حديث من حديثهم فتقص عليهم فتقطع عليهم حديثهم فتملهم ولكن أنصت فإذا أمروك فحدثهم وهم يشتهونه فانظر السجع من الدعاء فاجتنبه فإني عهدت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه لا يفعلون إلا الاجتناب. He says here, narrated Ikrimah, who's from the Tabi'een, a disciple of Abdullah ibn Abbas. Ikrimah said that Abdullah ibn Abbas said, listen to this, Alameen, listen to this narration and just think about today. He says, Hadith al-Nas, he says, every Jum'ah give the people a talk. If you want to do more, then twice. If you want to do more, than 3 times. No more than what? 3 times. He says, and do not bore the people and push them away from this Quran. Allahu Akbar. The words of Allah. He says, do not put a bad and sour taste in the people's mouths with regards to the what? He didn't say hadith. He didn't say athar salaf, fiqh, this, that. He said the Quran. Don't make the people what? Dislike the study of the what? Of the Quran. He says, and I should never ever find you. He said to his disciple, gave him advice. La alfayannaka. He says, don't let me catch you walking upon the people in their gathering and stopping them from just talking. We're sitting around, drinking coffee, drinking tea, and they're just what? Just talking. Not haram or idle speech or just voice, but just what? Talking. Whether it's what's going on in the world today, the weather, sports, politics, people just talking. People just having what? Normal basic conversations. Everyone understand this? He says, don't walk up on them and stop them and cut them off and bore them. He says, walakin ansit. He says, listen to them. He says what? Listen to what they're saying. And if they command you to give them a faida or speech, then what? That is what you do. وَهُمْ يَشْتَهُونَهُ. And they desire it. They have the appetite for what? For it. Don't force it what? Upon them. Think about this now. You go somewhere. Mufti, I have a question. Abu Ramla, I have a question. Fran, tayyib, labas. Could you give us a talk? Could you give us a khatira? Mashi. But don't go storming into the masjid or the restaurant or the train or the airport and says, khalas, stop talking about sports. We're going to talk about this right now. Stop talking about what happened in the news. We're going to talk about it. He says, don't do that. He then says, فَانْظُرْ السَّجْعَ مِنَ الدُّعَى فَاجْتَنِبْهُ. He says, as far as when you make dua, you rhyming, and overburdening yourself with rhyming and trying to make it sound good. He said, فَاجْتَنِبْهُ. He says, what? Stay away from that. Stay away from that, because that which I got from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions here is that they didn't do this. They what? They didn't do this. And this hadith is collected by Imam al-Bukhari. You ever heard this? What I mean? It's collected by what? Imam al-Bukhari. Now think about the current things today between people that are tulab al-ilm and people that aren't what? Tulab. Every single person has to what? Know this. Has to do this. Has to say this. Has to go here. Has to be this. He says, don't what? Don't do that. But if they want it, then what? Then you give it to them. Tayyib. So the author, he quotes the narrations. Then he says, min fiqh al-bab. The fiqh of this chapter. The understanding. قال الخطيب في الجامع لأخلاق الراوي وأداب السامع. And he goes on to quote what is extracted from these what? Narrations. Everyone understand this? And he does this about several different issues. And he mentions different khilafat and understandings. It's a very excellent book, the footnotes. It's a very good book, and it's a comprehensive book, which isn't anything new. The hadith from Bukhari, Muslim, Sunan Abi Dawud, Muslim Ahmed, Ibn Qayyim's kalam is there, Khatib al-Baghdadi's kalam is there, but he's putting it what? In one place, in an exact order, and he's making it comprehensive. And even if it's an issue in which you differ with the author, or you don't feel that the hadith is sahih or this and that, you're still going to what? Benefit from having it in your library. So you have to do a khutbah Abdul Raqib. You're stuck. This is a good place to what? Go back to, because it's an encyclopedia. You got to write a paper. You got to give a speech. And you have to talk about Mount Sinai. You go to the what? Encyclopedia. Mount Sinai is located here. It's this high. And your information is what? All there in front of you. All right, understand this? Britannica or whatever the case may be. And the same applies to ilm. There are many books like this which the ulama call mawsu'at. Encyclopedias of knowledge. Encyclopedias of hadith, encyclopedias of fiqh, encyclopedias of this. All right, understand this? So this tool, in my humble opinion, for a student of knowledge, you see I had the book for a while, starting to fade and fall apart just a little, not too much. Al-Muhim, the book, I had it for a while. Let's see when the book was printed. The book was originally printed in 1999. I would understand that. How many years ago was that? 18 years ago. Tayyib. Al-Muhim, this book for a student of knowledge, a scholar, a khatib, someone writing a book, someone has to give a talk, is of immeasurable worth, in which everything is all at your fingertips, along with the other regular books. With regards to saving time, with regards to consolidating the ilm and the faida, wrapping it up, leaving everything, not leaving anything. Everyone understand this? وهكذا. طيب, خير inshallah. So, that's, we're done with that, If you want to buy the book, inshallah, I would advise you to buy the book. Whether you know the author, or like the author or not, I would highly suggest to you what? have the book in your library if you're a talib al-ilm. And the idea that you can't buy a book or you shouldn't have a book because the author has an issue or he differed with this sheikh or he defended this sheikh and this and that, yani, we don't have to repeat that, recreate the wheel. But the people themselves who talk like that, they themselves aren't true. You go into their libraries and they have what? Plenty of books. And they themselves will say, yo man, that joint right there is crazy by Sheikh Fulan. But you know, Sheikh such and such, he said he's a mubtadi', but that's a crazy book. Some brothers will hide books, sneak books, cover up the name of the book, take the name of the book, scratch out the name of the book, but benefit from the book. Or they say the best book on the subject is Fulan's book, even though he's a stone cold staunch mubtadi'. But Fulan in the UK, don't take nothing from him. But we take what from him on a DL. Allah al-Mustan. As we said in Medina, there was a brother from the UK and others. They would talk about Sheikh Abdul Razak, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin's son, Sheikh Hunam, and even talk about Sheikh Abdul Muslim, but really, 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 really on the low. And you would find those brothers, they would sneak. Some of them would sit with Sheikh Abdul Muslim when he was teaching 40 hadith. Because it was such a juicy opportunity, they wanted to hear it, so they would sit with him. But the Sunnah Abi Dawud, Bukhari, Tirmidhi, no, they wouldn't sit with him, unfortunately. Tayyib, we're done with that. Question says, those who say that touching a woman breaks wudu, what do you do when you make the tawaf? Or what happens when you make the tawaf? A very important question, and it's very good to bring something that doesn't make sense or is inconsistent. This is a way that you understand the ilm. If they say this, then what about that? First and foremost is, inshallah, hopefully you won't touch no woman when you make tawaf. Hopefully that you'll stay far away from what? Touching a woman. But let's say you did touch a woman. The ulama of Islam, they differ on what's meant by touching a woman. Lamsul mar'ah. Many of them say bishahwa. It has to be a lustful touch. It has to be an intentional touch. And it's a touch that's done with the palm of the hands. Everyone understand this? Just like touching your private part. And not an accidental touch, nor a touch that's lustful. So there are different makharij, and different ways out of this issue. One, don't touch a woman when you make tawaf. Two, is only touching a woman pertaining to what? A lust, and you shouldn't be lusting over a woman touching her when you make tawaf. Three, with the hand. And four, they say what? On the actual skin. Everyone clear on this? On the what? On the skin. So what's the chances in which you're going to touch a woman's skin while making tawaf? You may bump into a woman may bump into you. You may make tawaf, an old lady might mow you out the way like a fullback. This is a fact. Or a woman is heedless or she trips, whatever, but you touching a woman's skin. Let's say a woman falls, you have to help her, whatever the case, that's nadir. At the end of the day, what it comes down to Allah, the strong view and Allah knows best, is that it's permissible to touch a woman lustfully and not make wudu, as long as it doesn't make you have any pre-seminal fluid, as long as you don't become excited. And obviously that's relative. A brother may give his wife a hug and a kiss when he leaves the door, and it's normal. And there may be some brothers who may have what? A great deal of fire. And when she touches his wife and he gets excited and he has to make wudu and wash himself, whatever the case may be. But the correct view, Allahu Alam, is that awla mastumun nisa, you touch women, is what? Talking about intercourse. Talking about what? Intercourse, not just what? Touching a woman's hand. This was a debate we had in Toronto, I told you about. Awla mastumun nisa. Tayyib, wallahu alam.
Initials OS, CC Hills, Illinois. If one follows the view that the child of an unmarried woman shouldn't be attributed to the father, does the same ruling apply if the Muslim man claims he didn't know zina is a sin when he did it, and that was his time of ignorance? If the ruling is the same, what happens if the child has already been given the father's name?
Question comes from Illinois with regards to the child of zina. And as we said before, the child of zina is not the child of the bed, as many brothers have mistakenly attributed. The child of the bed is the lawful child. Everyone understand this? The child of the bed is the what? The lawful child. Al-waladu lil-firash. That's the lawful child, the legitimate child from marriage. Christian marriage, Jewish marriage, Hindu marriage, Buddhist marriage, Islamic marriage. as long as it isn't a marriage that is against our sharia when a person accepts Islam. A Christian that was married before he comes to Islam, he doesn't have to get what? Remarried. As long as it isn't his sister or his aunt, someone that he can't be married to in our sharia. Everybody clear on this? A suckling sister. Everybody understand this? Right. So therefore, the child of the bed is the legal, legitimate child. The child of zina is the opposite. The child of zina not being attributed to his father or his or her father. Does the same rule apply to someone who made zina and he said he didn't know that zina was haram? It was at a time of ignorance. And the child's name is already given to the father, so on and so on and so forth. Right. First and foremost, we have several issues in this question. First question is, I don't think that a Muslim is that ignorant that he doesn't know that zina is haram. It may happen. Someone that's far from the basic teachings of Islam, perhaps. But the feasibility of that, the likeliness of someone not knowing that you can't sleep with a woman that you're not married to, is what? Very scarce. The most ignorant Muslim knows that certain things you just can't do, let alone non-Muslims. Everybody understand this? This is well known that fornication is a sin. However, if someone was ignorant, just because you're ignorant doesn't remove the ruling. Okay, you're not sinful. Allah will not punish you. You're ignorant, but it doesn't mean that the child is legitimate. It doesn't mean that the child is what? Legitimate. That's first and foremost. Secondly is the child having a father's name. What's meant by the child having the father's name? Do people have their father's names today, or do they have last names of a family? Smith. The father's name is Robert Smith, and a child is born James Smith. Smith is not his father's name. It's his father's family name. And where does that family name come from? That's a very long discussion. That's a very long discussion. What's important is the child not being attributed to his father, the child not inherited from his father, etc. These are all legislative, legitimate rulings that are a part of a bigger system. A bigger system, a slice of a bigger pie. And oftentimes in America or the UK or Australia or wherever you go over Westerns or not even Eastern, a secular country in which oftentimes we don't even have the pie. We don't have the what? The pizza's not even here. Or we have a pizza but there's many slices missing. Or the many toppings missing. Or they have everything but there's no spices, right? The salt, pepper, oregano, crushed pepper, garlic, Parmesan cheese. This is an important part of pizza. Everyone understand this or not? So the point I'm trying to get to is, in America, it's our duty to practice Islam the best way that we can. But oftentimes we have so many missing pieces that are major integral parts of it that the whole system just can't work. Such as an Islamic system of government, an Islamic system of finance, in which you can't get away from the bank. As the weak hadith says, إِنَّهُ يَأْتِي عَلَيْكُمْ زَمَانٌ, that the time will come, الَّذِي لَمْ يَأْكُلْ مِنَ الرِّبَا, he who doesn't eat from riba, إِلَّا مَسَّهُ غُبَارُهُ أَوْ كَمَا جَاءَ. The hadith says that the dust will touch him. Nobody can differ on the authenticity of that meaning of that hadith. If you're not eating riba, then the dust is what? It's on you. You're paying, you're giving, you're getting a card, Western Union, somehow, some way. You're touching some type of riba dust. Everyone clear on this or not? So the concept of why is riba such a problem and such an issue and so difficult, because the whole system is missing. Islam is not meant to be practiced like this, fragmented. Islam is a what? It's a system. It's a whole pizza. Crust, sauce, cheese, spices, a whole dish. It's not meant to just aqidah and no sharia. Sharia and no what? Aqidah. We stick to the rulings, we grow our beards, we come to the masjids, but we make haram wealth. Or we have illegitimate children. Or husband is not taking care of his wife. It's a whole entire what? System. What are Muslims to do? They can't have girlfriends. He's too young to get married. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a degree. He's going to spend many, many years and he has strong sexual desires. How can he get married? He's immature. He's going to get divorced. He doesn't know how to treat a woman. He can barely clean up his room. My son can't be a husband to nobody. That's because the legislation of allowing a young teenager to be married is a part of what? A bigger system. And that's the system of teaching a child and grooming a child from what? From young age. How to be responsible, how to work, luxury. The father pays for everything. People can't get married. Why can't you get married? because you need this flat screen TV and you have this type of sofa and this type of car and this type of house, that's why you can't get married. But the basics of getting married, you can provide, because Islam is an entire what? System. And from the system of Islam is to avoid extravagance. It's to avoid things that you don't need, especially if it's outside of your budget. You don't need that. You can be fine with a basic love seat in your house. You don't need a big extravagant leather sofa. But my parents say I have to. And the culture says that I have to marry a girl from my country. That's why you what? Can't get married. Because we've taken one slice and left off the other 7 slices. Islam abolishes that type of prejudice and racism. Everyone understand this? So oftentimes we find ourselves in these sticky traps because we're not practicing Islam as a what? As a whole, entire, integral, cohesive what? System. Everyone understand this or not? And the same applies to this. So many brothers, they have illegitimate children. And they say, oh, I don't have to pay for the child. The child can't be attributed to me. Ya akhi, you're living in America. You're amazing that in abundance. The child looks just like you. There's no other father, no other maintainer, caretaker, no other benefactor, etc. And you're saying, oh, the hadith says that the child belongs to the bed. What is this? Everybody understand this or not? It's a system. It's a what? It's a system. Let alone the haram things that you do, the $400 pair of sneakers that you got on, the $700 glasses that you're wearing. Is that Islam? Is that the Sunnah? Is that Sunnah Abi Dawood and Sahih Bukhari? Everyone understand this? It's a whole entire what? System. Everybody clear this or not? I've asked one of my teachers about this question some years back, especially coming from a place like America, Philadelphia, when zina is like drinking water. Why the other billah? Unfortunately, taking a cup of spring water. It's probably easier to make zina than to get a cup of spring water in 2018 today. Unfortunately. So he said the father, even if the father is illegitimate, he says he's a reason behind his child coming into the world. So to say that he has no financial responsibilities, he has nothing to do with the child, it's illegitimate, he says that's going to cause corruption. And that's exactly what has happened. I keep making zina and I don't have to take care of him because of the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, narrated Abdullah ibn Umar. But what did Abdullah ibn Umar narrate about the $700 pair of glasses? What did Abdullah ibn Umar narrate about this and about that and the other things? Everyone understand this? Taking a piece and leaving off what? The system. So that's chaotic. If the people say, I don't have to take care of this child. Another story, very practical story of this is a brother who had a daughter. The daughter was illegitimate before Islam. But alhamdulillah, the daughter, she was a good girl. She was a young teenager and she wanted to be a Muslim. She didn't want to be a Christian like her mother. She wanted to be with Abby. She wanted to wear khimar, she wanted to pray, she wanted to fast. She wanted to be righteous and pious. So the father, he asked me, what do I do? Can she come over my house? Can she spend time with me? Do I have to pay for her? Do I get her married? Can I be her wali? So on and so forth, because she's an illegitimate child. So if I told him, khalas, al-waladu lil-firash wa lil-ahir al-hajar, you get stones and rocks. Leave her to her Christian mother. Let her take off her khimar, her hijab, and wear tight clothes and sleep around with boys at 15 years old. Let her be a Christian and praise Jesus in the church. What's going to happen if the people just can, everybody understand this? Because it's a major piece missing. The best thing you can do is try to what? Basic damage control. Everyone understand this? As far as no khalas, it's, khalas. What's going to happen to the people? And it's going to be a major door for people to take zina lightly. For people to take what? Zina lightly. So that's my advice. The legitimate ruling with Allah and His Messenger is clear. The ruling of Allah and His Messenger is not in this country. Everyone understand this? Some things you're forced to do. Some things you don't have an option. Some things you don't have a choice. And sometimes you have to take the lesser of the what? 2 evils. And there's no doubt that that girl being in Muslimah and being with her father and them traveling and he telling people this is my daughter. I'm marrying my daughter. She sleeps in my house. I feed her. I send her to Islamic school. There's no question that is the what? Lesser of the 2 evils, without a question. And Allah surely knows best.
Initials AA from Santa Rosa, California. Can a person at school during Maghrib pray Maghrib and Isha at the time of Isha?
Question comes from Santa Rosa, California. Can a person at school pray Maghrib and Isha at the time of Isha? You are not allowed to miss Salat al-Maghrib and to push it outside of its proper time unless you're a traveler, or unless you're sick and ill, unless you have irregular bleeding, which is very difficult to make wudu and clean yourself, or unless it's a situation in which you have to do that because of a major difficulty that you're going to go through and it doesn't reoccur. It only happens once here and there. I'm going to go into surgery. I'm going to be stuck in this traffic. I know they're going to hold me up in the airport. I'm at home. I'm not traveling anymore. Let me combine my salats, so on and so forth. I would understand this. If that's not the case, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. The prayer must be made on time. The prayer must be made on time. You cannot make Maghrib in the time of Isha if you're not a traveler, if you're not sick, if you don't have irregular menstruation, or if it's a rare occasion based off of the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas in Sahih Muslim. So therefore, if you go to school, you must have the ability to leave the classroom for 5 minutes and make Salat al-Maghrib. Already have your wudu before Maghrib comes in, get permission to go outside, or I don't know how the colleges work, pray in a corner, clean place, return back to the class. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. That's in brief.
Initial WR from Toronto, Canada. Do sleeveless shirts cover the minimum requirement of what a man should cover for salah?
Question coming from Canada regarding sleeveless shirts. Do they cover the necessary requirements of a man's order in the salah? It's difference of opinion among the people of knowledge. Some of the people of knowledge, they say, and obviously from one thing learn 10,000 things. The awrah of a man in a prayer, مسألة مبنية على عورة الرجل خارج الصلاة. It's based off of what is or what isn't a man's awrah outside of the prayer. So some ulama, to keep things brief and simple with the time that we have, some of them, they say that a man's awrah outside of the prayer is one thing. Let's say, for example, navel to knee. From the beneath the navel to the top of the knees. Or above the navel to beneath the knees, to be safe. Right? But in the prayer, there's a higher level of awrah. And some of them, they say that that higher level of awrah is the shoulders must be covered. Or at least one of the shoulders are covered, based on the hadith of Abi Hurairah in Sahih Bukhari. And others, they say no. A man's awrah outside of the prayer is his awrah inside of the prayer. So based off of the view that the shoulders must be covered, it's invalid to pray with a shirt on, or a muscle shirt, or a wife beater, or whatever you call it, a tank top, whatever it's called. And based off of the view of those who say that that's not the awrah in the salah, it's permissible to pray. It's valid. However, how tight is the shirt? Is it superly duperly tight, snug, fitting on your body? Or is it a bit loose? Are we going to understand this? So these are all issues that have to be taken into consideration. At the end of the day, if you have the ability to pray and cover your shoulders and not wear this tight muscle shirt, then that is what you should do. And you should not pray in a muscle shirt under any circumstance, if you have the ability. As far as if you don't, that's the only clothes that you have, that's a different story. And Allah knows best.
This was F. Ali from London, UK. What can I ask for a girl wearing niqab for her number?
Oh, say that again?
Exactly, that's what the guy wrote.
What can you ask with a sister who wears the niqab for her number? Al-Muhim, at the end of the day, if you see a sister and you're interested in finding out about her, ask her with respect. Simple, basic respect. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Are you married? Tayyib. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Can I have your father's number or your Wakil's number? Back in the day, you say, right? Let me get the Wakil's number, right? Or if you feel it may be better, to send a sister with regards to being shy, with regards to not falling into fitna or staring or lusting or putting her on the spot, or sometimes just, having more smoothness. Send a sister. Your sister, your aunt, your mother, or a sister that another sister that you know. She may not wear the niqab. Or she may be more approachable than that one. She may be really, really super pious. So you say, Assalamu alaikum, sister Karima, can you do me a favor? Can you go over there and ask, is that sister married for me? Tayyib. If the sister's not a hater, inshallah ta'ala, she'll do it. However, if the sister is unmarried, or if she's not happy in her marriage, in most cases it's not going to work out. And that's from the qawaid, the streets, right? If it's one guy and two girls, it'll never what? It'll never work. You got to bring another guy for the what? For the other girl. She'll get jealous. I would understand this. And make sure that the middleman, the in-between, the middle woman is somebody that's good for the job. Because there's some people that'll mess it up. They'll go over there, they'll start talking, motor mouth, such and such. SubhanAllah, only thing I asked you was, is she single or not? Get the number. You may tell your sister, my brother's the best guy in the world. He has a heart of gold. Just ruin everything. I would understand this hikmah, wisdom, sharpness. So what's important is, it is not haram to speak to the opposite sex in Islam. It's not haram. And there are many hadiths to support that the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba and the Sahabiyat, they spoke to each other. Rather in the Quran, Allah says, فَلَا تَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ. He says, do not soften and perfume your voices. Do not sweeten your voices. فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ. Lest one whose heart is a disease will get a desire and thinking that you're a loose woman. وَقُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. And Allah says, and make an honorable statement. Make a what, Abdul Wadud? An honorable statement. Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah, he says about this ayah, that this proves that when Muslim women are to speak, they're not to be nasty and rude. They're not to be nasty and rude. And it's permissible to do what? To speak. So the Quran says, not the hadith, not the Quran says that. So you find many sisters today, they think, or they've been taught or miseducated, that it's the sunnah and the way of the salaf to be rude and to be nasty. And you can't say nothing to a man and no one can hear your voice. Many sisters, they think this and they feel this. You call a brother's house, son, can speak, he's not here. Literally. Just, am I making this up? And they think that that's the sunnah. She doesn't have to flirt and daydream over my dreamy voice. La, it don't have to be like that. Wa alaikum salam, he's not here. Can I leave a message? Khalas, yakfi. There's no disrespect, there's no flirting, there's no fantasizing, there's no dreamy voices being passed on. Can I speak to Abu Sayyid? Can you tell a mufti called? Shukran. Khalas. Qawlan ma'rufan. That's what the Quran says. Many people, they think this. They think that that's what and that's wrong. But when they go to the jeweler, or they go to the perfume store, or they go to work, how much shyness and haya and istihya and hishma and ihtisham is there? Fake piety. This is a reality, guys. It's what? And it doesn't mean that you have to be loose. We're not calling to that. Nor are we condoning it. It doesn't mean that you have to be flirtatious. It doesn't mean that. But a basic, wa alaikum assalam, someone hold the door for you, thank you, shukran. Sister, are you married? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm sorry. Jazakallah khairan, khalas. Sister, are you married? No, I'm not. Are you interested in getting married? Allahumma musta'an. Next question.
Initials KA from Manchester, UK. I ask Allah to preserve you, Shaykh. Those who say there's a bid'ah hasana about that Abu Bakr compiling the Quran was a bid'ah hasana, is this correct? Please clarify.
May Allah bless you and preserve you as well. Where does the question come from again? Manchester. Is it a bid'ah hasana in the deen? Is Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu compiling the Mus'haf bid'ah hasana in the deen? A good bid'ah? Yes and no. There is a such thing as good bid'ah in the religion, and there's no such thing as good bid'ah in the religion. If you mean reviving the sunnah, bringing back the original way, the original practice of which the people have forgotten and left off, like praying 2 rak'ah before Maghrib, then we say that's good bid'ah, quote unquote. You start something up. Every Sunday, the brothers come to the masjid, they have breakfast, they have a ta'lim. Is it permissible to eat with your brother? Yes. Is it permissible to give people reminders? Yes. Organizing the Muslims, this week is over my house, we say that's a what? Bid'ah hasana. It's a good innovation. Meaning to spark something up that's old, that's authentically proven, that's already there, but the people have left it off. Or you do it in a different way, a revolutionary way. Everyone understand this? You do it in a what? Like we mentioned last night. But the actual act of ibadah is something that's already proven by kitab and sunnah. And it's nothing new that you're making up of actual worship. So if that's what you mean by bid'ah hasana, tayyib. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, He said about Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu leaving the companions in the prayer, he says, Ni'mal bid'atu hadihi. He says, what a good bid'ah this is. He says, oh, what a what? What a good bid'ah this is. Meaning, praying in congregation, something that the Prophet did, and he allowed, the people left it alone. They had different imams. They were praying separately. He came upon one imam. He said, what a what? Good bid'ah this is. Meaning, what a good revival of the sunnah this is. What a good organization of the authentic practice this is. Not they're going to make 50 raka'at, or they're going to make some type of prayer that's a total made up type of prayer. Everyone understand the difference? As far as if what you mean, that there's an act of ibadah that is not legislated by the direct text of kitab and sunnah and ijma', it wasn't understood and practiced by the sahaba, then there is no such thing as bid'ah hasana fi din. No matter what scholar says, or who says and who holds the view, there's no such thing. Every bid'ah is misguidance. أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءُ شَرَعُوا لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذَنْ بِهِ اللَّهُ. Allah says, asks the question, or do they have partners? أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءُ, who legislate for them religion that Allah has not allowed. Do they? Who can answer this question to Allah? Everyone understand this? Bid'ah is an infringement upon the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's legislation to make the rules. So there's no bid'ah hasana. Everyone understands sunnah. Every bid'ah is misguidance. Every bid'ah is what? Is misguidance. The actual ibadah itself. As far as compiling something, organizing something, categorizing something, putting together something, that in itself is not necessarily the worship. The Quran didn't change. The recitation of the Quran didn't change. Implementing the Quran didn't change. But he put it in what? Everyone understand this? Let alone the fact that that's Abu Bakr's statement. The Prophet ﷺ said each bid'ah is misguidance. It's mentioned in those narrations. Uthman made another adhan. That's whose view? Uthman, and not Muhammad. Let alone that there's no clash and contradiction in him compiling the Quran and so on and so forth. So it depends on what you mean. And many people, they go extreme. And it's a fact that many people do not know what bid'ah is. They don't know what it is. And many people are, no doubt, they're oversensitive to bid'ah. Everything's a bid'ah. Everything's a bid'ah. And they don't know. They don't have the proper ilm, the proper fiqh. And speaking of bid'ah is no different than anything else in the deen. The ulama, they agreed on things and they what? They're different on things. Their ins and their outs, their details on these issues. Everyone understand this or not? As we've said, it's not just always black and white, how the people just paint it and stuff it down your throat. Everybody claiming this or not? So it is fiqh of bid'ah. And the ulama wrote books on what is and what isn't bid'ah. Such as the Shatibi in this book, hadithdisciple. And everything in that book is not agreed upon by all the ulama as well. So there's detail. Some who say the microphone is a bid'ah. I say, you're right, it is. It's a worldly innovation. Everyone understand this? But what I'm saying is Quran and Sunnah, inshallah. So there's a difference. And Allah knows best.
Mr. RB from Philadelphia, PA. Who do you advise? Who do you advise that we take from in the West, from the scholars and the students we have here?
I'll advise you to take from anybody specifically. Because once we open up that door, it'll never shut, it'll never close. This person, that person, you mention his name, you didn't mention this one. One day he's good, the next day he's a kafir, the third day he's a zindiq, the fourth day, one day the person is the greatest scholar known, and then he's worse than Iblis. I advise you to take from those whose constitution is kitab and sunnah and ijma'. Those who call to kitab, sunnah and ijma'. Those who propagate it. And those who wish to connect the people with Allah and His Messenger. The words of Allah and His Messenger. And that's what they push, that's what they pump, and that's what they propagate. As far as those who call you to personality worship or hero worship. Those who call you to follow and to be a blind follower and a muqallid and a fanatical vampire in which you're just a frenzied freak for a person or a name or a group or a country or this or that, then avoid those people, whoever they are. Whoever they are. And Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, La ikraha fi d-din, qad tabayyana ar-rushdu min al-ghayy. There's no compulsion in the religion. And righteousness is clear from wickedness. Someone who's calling you to a person and a group and a scholar is crystal clear. and someone who's trying to attach you to the Quran and Sunnah and its proper understanding and practice, is also what? Crystal clear. Take from those people. Everyone understand this? As far as Fulan and Abu Fulan and Ibn Fulan and Fulani and this one and that one, once we get into that, it will never stop. Not saying that there aren't people that I wouldn't advise you to take from, but I'm not going to give you that right now because that's going to add to the fire. Everyone understand this? If you come across someone and you believe in your heart sincerely that they're beneficial and they're teaching you and they're helping you, then take from them. And if you come across someone and you sincerely believe in your heart that they're evil and misguided and unqualified and unsuited, then stay away from them. Everyone understand this? That's the best advice that I feel that I could give you right now. And Allah knows best. Inshallah, we're going to stop here. I believe it's time for Salat al-Isha. We don't want to hold up the believers that have come to pray and offer this great ritual. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.